rocking the Laylee May 6, and it's buttery. I mean, I love this shoe, and not only because I feel like anything she touches, she just puts magic to, but you know, they're in the sneaker game. There's a lot of like, there's a challenge around like shrink and pink. Like we don't.
Who have been increasingly like completely priced out over the past 3 or 4 years as, you know, all the hype beasts, all the resellers. Like, I'm not here to judge anybody's hustle, but the result has been everything is 2 or 3 times as expensive as it used to be. And we were like, man, you might be a huge sneakerhead, but that doesn't mean you can turn around and spend $600 or $700 in the aftermarket for a shoe you want. But you have a closet full of kicks.
Do you feel like there's damage in the game?
I think that like acquiring a shoe, it sounds counterintuitive, but a little bit of friction makes it like that much more meaningful when you get your hands on it.
You feel like, damn, I did this.
Yeah, you have a shoe you love, but then it's like, bro, did I really just spend a rent check to get these joints? Like, I still love them, but now I feel conflicted about what I just did to get my hands on these.
Yeah.
Hey y'all, you back in here, you know what I'm saying? UtopiaSoles. I want to bring y'all another episode, man, and this one is so special to us. It's dear to our heart, and as you can tell, we got special guests in here in the building today, representing for Tradeblock. We have Cassidy. Give your IG.
Oh, it's Cassidy W83 on IG.
And my boy over here, put your IG out there.
Beans here, Red Beans, BEEMS, and Mics, MICS is my IG.
I'm gonna make sure that's on the screen so the people can hit y'all up and attack your page. Hey man, I got my people in here with me too. Of course, I'm Jay Smooth. I got my boy Gus. I got Mr. Cool. And I got EJ Wade down there and some next. What's up, boy? We finna get it in today, man. Like I said, this interview is so special to me. I've been personally trying to get Cassidy for a while, talk to her. She's so dope in the game, man. Look, I don't see how she had the opportunity to even make it in, to be honest with you. Her hands in everything. So we'll get more into detail about that. But we also have a fun segment of something we like to do before we get started, and it's called What's on Your Feet. Man, we're gonna start these people out right. And I think it's gonna get kicked off right. We gentlemen, man, we let the lady go first. Please introduce your shoe. If you got a dope story behind it.
We gotta all follow her.
So today, it was only right, you know, that me being a lady in the sneaker game, that I had to rep for the ladies. So do I just like put my foot up?
Man, do how you want to.
Okay.
We had a good take that shoe off and put it on.
Oh yeah, we can do it that way. So today I am rocking the Laylee May 6, and it's buttery. I mean, I love this shoe, and not only because I feel like anything she touches, she just puts magic to, but you know, they're in the sneaker game. There's a lot of like, there's a challenge around like shrink and pink. Like we don't, you know, we're trying to stray away from that. We want colors, but I feel like this is a representation of a pink done right. So I had to throw that on today, and it has satin, you know, it's nice.
3M?
Yes.
You got the 3M, right?
Yes, it has like the
glare on there, yeah.
Infrared looking.
Show me the bottom of your sole. That says a lot.
Oh yeah, and then it has.
How many times you wore it?
Oh, so one thing with me is I wear my shoes. So, you know, lately some of them have stayed in the box because pandemic, haven't really gone anywhere, but I definitely rock my stuff versus stock it. So thank you.
That's a hard, you right.
I was like, set us on
All over talk about anybody else's shoes after that.
Right. So what y'all want to move forward?
Yeah. Who's next?
Next.
Man, look, I go next. So I wore, I pulled these out the box. I didn't know what I was wearing today. Infrared 3s. This is the first time, just a little quick story behind the shoe. First time I bought family size shoes. So I copped these for me. And then, of course, my wife hit me and she's like, hey, where you at? Oh, I'm in the mall. Buying some shoes. What kind of shoes? Let me see. Oh, yeah, I like those. Can you give me some? What size is it? And that was at the time where you could do that, right?
Yeah.
You had to basically first come, first serve. So here I go walking to 2 other stores. I finally found her size. And then she's like, oh, get the baby some too. Oh my God.
So
All right.
He left broke.
Yeah. So I'm swiping. I went to 3 different stores, but anyway, the family was happy. That's the first and last time I did family sizing because that was a headache. But I like my infrareds, man. I don't see many people with them. My midsole is just a little aged. I do wear my shoes.
We like that. We like that age.
I'm loving it.
Yeah.
When I put them on this morning, I'm like, okay, do your thing.
It's not like a shoe that age as well.
Yes.
Yeah, so I haven't had any paint strip issues or cracking or anything, so I'm good, man. I like my shoes, they're comfortable. The reason I like wearing my shoes is because once you break that freshness in them, they're actually good shoes. Threes are comfortable for me.
I love these.
Nah, you gotta go. You gotta go next. There's something on your feet that I can't wait to hear this story.
I was trying to be generous, so I guess, you know what I'm saying? But since you
He passed on his opportunity, but he don't give it.
So today, and the reason why I wore these honestly is because nobody talks about Jordan 2s.
They're underrated.
They're very underrated. It's a very comfortable shoe too. I don't know how you hoop in it though, but I got on the UNC Jordan 2s. I went with these today because they don't get a lot of love. So hopefully y'all think they're okay.
Yeah, no,
Big
they're
sleepers, man. Big sleepers.
Yeah.
So that's what I got on today.
You know, I see
Fire.
they lows too.
They lows. They
Yeah, I
lows.
see a lot of
Yeah, you
low
know.
twos.
Yeah.
And honestly, the 2s look better in a low than a lot.
Yeah, honestly, they
Just like
do.
I said.
I think only other 2 I think that was high, I would say that was kind of high on the radar were the Mellow 2s. I don't know if y'all remember those.
Yeah.
They were like, I think they were released maybe like 2000, yeah, somewhere around there I want to say. Could be wrong.
I was hot on the Mellows when Carmelo came through.
Mm-hmm.
He got with Jordan Brand.
They need to bring back the Vashti 2s from 2010. So the first Jordan, well, that was like a really, really big Vashti. Like she's huge, woman designer, you know, DJ. She's in New York. She's still killing the game, but like her Jordan 2 like set it apart. It was like a very light, like lavender color.
I don't even remember those.
Yeah, it's.
Oh, and the Just Done. I forgot about those.
Oh,
Those,
yeah.
that quilted
Like
material.
the South Beach one, I really like that
man.
one. Yeah.
It's beautiful too.
Yeah.
So we're gonna pass it down to our boy down this way.
All right, well, in the spirit of shoes that are underrated, I'll just throw my foot in the air for you guys. I'm rocking the satin bread 5s, which everybody rocks the satin 1s, which are dope. And honestly, how did I come across these? I know that I was in Nice Kicks in Austin. So we're based out of ATX. And honestly, I think I was going up there to try to poison them on Tradeblock. And that was the main reason that I was there. It was like, let me see if we can meet some cats and, you know, put them on game. And I was walking around and I saw those on the shelf and I was like, I don't think I had seen them previously. And I just happened to ask, like, hey, what size do y'all have there? Like, we got one size and it's a 13. And I was like, well,
They were for you.
I guess it was meant to be, yeah. I too like to rock my shoes. I think 5s are super comfortable. One of my favorite things about these is the 3M on the tongue. And then a lot of people take off this little lace lip.
That's the best.
I like
that's
that.
one of the best.
Yeah,
I
you gotta
think
have
it
it.
looks so crazy to me when you take that off the 5. Like that's an iconic piece of it.
Yeah.
I think these are sick, and I'm surprised that more people don't have them. But it makes me feel good when I rock them.
Let me ask you a question. With the satin, what's the one thing about that shoe that, because I ain't gonna lie, how many times have you worn that shoe?
Probably like a dozen.
A dozen.
Mm-hmm.
Most people I have seen with that shoe, when they get that wrinkle in that toe box, it's over with. And
They
it's
just
crazy
stop
you don't
somewhere.
have that.
I don't know, maybe I know how to walk.
That's probably what it is.
But for me too, like I'm all for the distress. Like I always forget the term, but there's a Japanese term actually that I always thought was super dope, or like a concept where they believe things are more beautiful after they've basically taken some wear and tear and been broken. So it's really bothering me that I can't think of it, but they'll use like a gold filigree, and so they'll have like a pot that breaks, and as opposed to throwing it away, they'll put all the pieces back together with like basically molten gold, and then they're like, now this is more beautiful than it was before.
That's crazy.
And that's something I've always been really into. So like the what's it called? The Paranoids, the Air Force Ones that just came out. I've been rocking them joints, and it's like super dope because like a lot of people like try to like pre-distress them or pre-peel them. I'm like, nah, I just want to see what happens when I rock them and just let the paint chip off naturally.
That's the same approach I would have took.
Yes,
That's
Am I the only individual that buys?
Because I had that thought, I just never voiced it.
Am I the only individual that buys J's like a half size down in like the 5s? Because that's why my toe box nigga wrinkles. Like with the 3s and the 5s, I always buy them a half size down so they fit my foot perfect.
I'm not that fortunate.
I gotta
just
be
grab a size.
on point with bars, man. I can't go too low, and I can't go
that half
too high.
size just fits perfect, and maybe it's just for me. I don't know. I know everybody's foot is different, but that's how I go about not creasing my jeans. Like,
But what you got on your feet though?
a static RF. You already know what it is. This is one of the OG B2, I think.
Yeah.
350s. I was fortunate to get my hands on these. These are one of the. I think these are on the grail list if you are a Yeezy fan. I guess because I don't think they're gonna re-release these. I hope they don't.
That's like this 30
I think they're gonna re-release all these.
I know. You saw the Nikes. They're supposed to be releasing those.
Re-releasing the Nike Yeezys?
Yes.
Oh,
Interesting.
That started off like an April Fool's joke, but that's actually coming to fruition.
Yeah, they called him they think it was him. He had a pair of
Yeah, he had that mask on.
yeah, was it him though?
Yeah.
He had a pair of Nikes on.
Oh yeah, recently.
And he also had
Yeah.
that jacket on, that Gap just.
Oh, that was like gone
Yes.
Really?
instantaneously. Yeah.
Jacket was on $200.
I mean,
I
whatever
thought it
you
was
do,
really
it's gonna be amazing. I don't that brother can't go wrong. He can make you
marketing genius.
hate him and love him in the same minute.
All right, let's talk about Tradeblock, man. The people damn sure need to know what's going on. I like to do my research before we talk to guests, so I kind of have an understanding. Of course, we chopped it up plenty of times, and I think it's very important. This is a part where you listen real good, right? Because a lot of people don't understand this process. Not saying they don't understand Tradeblock. They don't understand how they could benefit the most from this. And I think it's very vitally important for that to be said, especially coming from, one of the co-founders.
Absolutely. So, man, where to start? So you guys will have to forgive me.
All right,
I'm verbose, bro. So I might get on my pedestal and just rock, but I'll try to be succinct with it. I mean, I think to your point about like why is this important? Honestly, the idea came from my co-founder, who's just a huge sports fan, and I don't know if you guys ever use the ESPN trade machine. It's like literally, it's still live online, but basically you get to pretend to be a GM of a sports team, and then you can create basically like mock trades, and it'll tell you how likely would this trade be to go through.
Gotcha.
So he was playing around with that like 2008, 2009, back when we were in high school. I've known my other two co-founders since junior high. And he was like, bro, we were all so they were working at Foot Locker at the time, and I was next door at Finish Line. So we're all into sneakers, and he was like, man, like, wouldn't it be dope if we could create a trade machine, but like for shoes? And we're all like, man, yeah, that'd be fire. But then, we're in high school. We didn't really care about anything except like sports and girls and stuff. And so we graduated, kind of shelved the idea. And then, 2016, 2017 rolls along. We saw StockX, we saw GOAT come onto the scene and just overnight start blowing up. And I think all of us are, pretty independent people who always wanted to do something for ourselves. So 2019 rolls along, and Darren, who is just a beast, like the guy is prolific, selling Yu-Gi-Oh cards since he was in like second grade. quick side story, Darren in high school, his hustle was candy. So he would go to Sam's Club and get the big, 40 pack, variety pack for like $15, and then he would sell them for $1 a piece at school. This guy, this is a perfect encapsulation of Darren as a hustler. It got to the point where he actually had the teacher selling candy for him. And so he would just leave the box in their room.
Come on,
would
Darren.
collect the cash, and then he would go around the school at the end of the day, collecting the cash from the teachers, no commission.
He acting like
shut him down.
He acting like Tyreek off of power.
The administration shut him down. They're like, you can't do this anymore.
It's a quick hustle.
Yeah,
he
man.
got it while it was good.
But Darren was really the one to be like, look, if nobody else is going to take on this sneaker trading idea, like we owe it to ourselves to try. So we launched the Instagram page and did what we call, an MVP, minimum viable product. My thing was, before we go spend money on an app, like we had to make sure people are down to do this and are willing to pay for it. So really we just, got in the DMs and we were brokering trades like by direct messaging people back and forth. But got that first trade done for AJ, if y'all know AJ, Tie Kicks, shout out AJ. And he posted to his Instagram, man, and like it was nuts. We just had dozens and dozens of people just come out the woodwork like, yo, here's 30 shoes in my closet. Like, what can I get for these joints? Like, send me some trades. So that's when we knew we had something. But, I think one of the biggest things, like for me personally, and I'd say for the team as a whole, is like, we're all into sneakers. And like, we remember, like even early 2010s when like dunks that go for $400 or $500 now, like would just be sitting on the shelf at Finish Line, like on clearance. And so I think one of the things we realize is like, there's people who are really into, this passion, if you will, for sneakers, who have been increasingly like completely priced out over the past 3 or 4 years as, all the hype beasts, all the resellers. Like, I'm not here to judge anybody's hustle, but the result has been everything is 2 or 3 times as expensive as it used to be. And we were like, man, you might be a huge sneakerhead, but that doesn't mean you can turn around and spend $600 or $700 in the aftermarket for a shoe you want. But you have a closet full of kicks.
Do you feel like there's damage in the game? Because the sneaker, go ahead, because I want to get your
I feel like it's a big piece of the game. And it's going to evolve. Like it's going, like just like with Tradeblock, like it's going to continue to evolve over time. I think there's a gift and a curse to aftermarket. Like for me personally, I was a teen mom OG. So I had my son when I was a senior in high school, and all of the shoes that I really liked over the next 5 years, some of them I sold, and back then I didn't know it was like an aftermarket opportunity, or I was trading, I was selling way back then, just because my priorities had shifted. So a lot of the shoes that I was connected to, like they were special to me, I wasn't able to attain them till recent years. So that's the gift of it. But the curse is obviously, like, I'm a mom, like I'm a wife, we have budgets, like I'm not trying to spend $5 million on a pair of shoes. My son is a little different, because this like Gen Z-ish, millennial, like he'll just blow his money. He'll be like, oh, I'll just buy it on resale, no problem, I'll just go. And I'm like, I don't know how, wait till you get real people bills. But I think there's a push and pull. I think with more options, more viable options, like using your kicks as currency on Tradeblock, like people will have better opportunities to get what they want without completely feeling pressured to break the bank.
That was genius, by the way. First time I heard about it when we met you guys, I was like, okay, they got something. And I hadn't even looked at the platform. And then
it's safe.
And then when
it's very safe.
The demo, the app on phone, because he had just gotten what was it? The Stuzzies, I think.
Oh, that's probably Darren.
Yeah, Darren demoed that. He was like, you want to know how I got these shoes? And he swiped through the phone and actually showed like how he did the trade. Because I was like, okay, yeah, this is genius.
That's what I was trying to get at, bro, because that's what I loved about it. Because I think Darren used his shoes and then just added a few $100 cash on it. Man, that's a great idea.
I got a question. I'm sure the viewers will want to know this, that probably would be interested in, making deals or whatever on your site. What do you accept and what don't you accept? Like, you know, you got customized shoes, you have shoes that are very worn, you have shoes that, I'm not even gonna say fake, because I know y'all not trading no fakes, because you told us earlier about the authentication process. But as far as like customizations and worn shoes, like what's the process on that?
So we don't do customs yet.
Okay.
But we do all new and used. So basically the way that it works is if it's new and dead stock, you can just add it to the platform. And, you know, we like people to add pictures just to, you know, make sure that the other person has a sense of what's going on. But if it's dead stock, we're basically trusting you that, hey, this is unworn or whatever the case may be. If it's used, we just require you to add pictures. So that when you're negotiating with the other person, if you're considering trading for a used shoe, you can see all their pictures of it, and then we basically, you know, we just put that on you, and hey, you evaluate the condition. But then, like you said, with authentication, when the trade is agreed upon, both parties are actually shipping to our authentication facility. And if it's a used shoe, part of what they're doing is making sure that the condition of the shoe actually matches the pictures.
Right.
So if you take pictures and rock them joints 10 more times, like, we're gonna know and we're gonna reject them. And then I think, you know, we were talking about it, the two-factor authentication, I think, is personally one of the things I'm most proud of, because I think, like, to zoom out for a second, one of the things we're trying to do with this business is say, like, what are all of the things that the other folks in this space, like, basically fall short on? And the most obvious to us first was just community, like focusing on the people. Like, the marketplaces don't show up at events, like, you don't know who's actually running things, like, they're not here to be a part of the culture and to, like, actually participate in it like that. Two is customer service. Like, it's impossible to get any real people on the line if you're dealing with them. But three was authentication, where we were like, okay, clearly y'all's whole play is just volume. Like, how fast can we move stuff through here? And if that means a few fakes get through, like, so be it. We're just gonna ignore people on the customer service end anyways. So our thing was like, man, as sneakerheads, like, what would we want in an ideal world? And, you know, we had started playing around with a couple of the different, like, digital authentication apps just to kind of see what was out there. And we were like, man, you know what would be dope is if we could have our own in-person authenticator who's an expert who examines every shoe, but then we also separately send every shoe through these digital check services. That way every shoe is really going through two separate authentications, and, like, if either one of them doesn't pass it, we reject the shoe. So, like, there's definitely been times where, like, I've seen the shoes and I'm like, I'm almost positive that's a legit authentic shoe, but we don't have two passes on it, so it's going back. And we'll tell the person, sorry, you know, we're not saying your shoe is fake, we just don't feel comfortable passing it. So, like I said, it costs us a little bit more money, it takes us a little bit more time, but, like, to me, if you do right by the people, this sounds cliche, but, like, if you do right by the people, you can't fail. And so that's really our focus, is, like, how can we make sure that the community knows, like, everything we do is to try to do what we think you would want more than anything.
Right.
Even if it means that cuts into our margins a little bit, like, we can live with that.
What's your time frame
For the transaction going through? So typically around 7 to 10 days, and almost never more than 2 weeks. So
That's beautiful. Y'all faster than StockX.
absolutely. That's another thing we benchmark ourselves against, for sure.
So here's another question that kind of, I guess, derives from that one. Let's just say, and I don't know how often this may happen, but say somebody wants to trade in a pair of shoes that may be worth more than what they're trying to trade for. Say they're just trying to get rid of a pair of shoes and they want another specific pair that's, you know, worth less than what they're trading in. What happens in that situation?
That's you.
The trade goes through.
If they
I
still
mean,
want to trade it.
Your loss.
Yeah, I think to me, that's also one of the most beautiful things about trading, because I think, to your question about has reselling hurt the culture, like, I'm the sort of person who sort of looks at culture as something that's always fluid. So to me, like, I kind of think there's a lot of gatekeepers of existing cultures where they're like, oh, this is the culture because that's what it was when I joined it. Right. It's like, you know, everything is going to change. But I think the thing that I think that bothers me about the change is that people are so focused on the hard dollar amount that a shoe is worth. And so what I always tell people is, like, look, I'm not a fan of Yeezys personally. Like, there's a few that I would rock, but I'm not a huge fan of Yeezys. I know what a Yeezy is worth, but if I have a Yeezy that's worth $400 and there's a Jordan 5 that's worth $350 that I really like, I'm gonna make that swap all day. And so I think that's where trading is interesting, is, like, you know, people aren't dumb. Like, I'm not going to trade my shoe for something that's worth half the price of the other shoe. But when you're trading, and especially like if you got them for retail, like it just gives you a lot more flexibility and allows you to think a lot more about your personal preferences as opposed to just what does the market say I should pay for this.
Yeah.
I think this whole thing with resellers and it's putting people in these positions where they really, even myself, I know what I like and I know what but I've gotten a little frustrated with the market. And but what it's allowed me to do was to not focus so much on that and focus on something new. You know, like, you know what? Jordan 1 is like a staple and it's gonna probably be that way for a while. But you know, it's just for a person that go to work every day. I don't sit on a computer trying to, you know, get up in the morning, make sure I can lock in this, and it doesn't happen, you know what I mean? So what I've been doing now is just trying to find something else that I like, you know, and I feel like that's giving another company or another shoe maybe a little hype, or maybe, you know, because sometimes, you know how like you can see a shoe, oh, this is about to come out. I always go on YouTube and watch a review of somebody with it on their feet, just to kind of get a feel of like how it might look on me. You know what I mean? So, like you say, it gets a little frustrating, but at some point, you know, hey, you can't do nothing about it. Go find something else.
Yeah, I think one thing that's important to your point about that is, you know, Tradeblock is trying to understand the consumer, and a lot of the consumers now have become contributors, like, to the culture in general. So I think, like, from my standpoint, I don't, like, if I get a trade, like if someone sends me a trade on Tradeblock, obviously, like, people are looking at the value of it, and now the value is noted on Tradeblock, you know, like dollar amounts are noted, so people can kind of balance that a little bit more, so the trash trades are, like, you know, out the loop. But, you know, I've traded like 3 times so far. I got my first Yeezy recently on Tradeblock. But the other 2 were Jordans, and I traded used shoes as well. Like, they wanted two used shoes, 2 Jordans that I never really wore, for a Jordan Low 1 that was a women's one that I really, really wanted, and it was so expensive on StockX. And I was like, well, I don't wear these 2. And I really want this one. That was an easy, like, yes. So it's kind of like, I'm not always looking at the dollar amount. I mean, it is a big factor, but I'm looking at what I want and how can I get it, you know? And there's a lot of people on Tradeblock, so the counter and negotiations, like, to get the Yeezy, I mean, it was a back and forth for a minute, but I mean, I got it done. So
I think that's an interesting thing too, that like I probably underestimated up front, but we've heard it, especially from a lot of the OG collectors, is the thrill of the hunt.
That's what I love about it. I was getting there earlier about
right?
Was that, I'm sorry to cut you off,
but go.
You touched on exactly what I was trying to bring back full circle as well, and you brought it back full circle for me. That's what I enjoy the most about shoes. It was the hunt the whole time, even as a kid. And sometimes you weren't able to cop those shoes, and it was just like, okay, I need to step my game up next week or next time for, you know, the next shoe that drops. And they weren't always Jordan, sometimes pennies. The phone posits, you know, that was the next way.
And he was giving them hell, man.
It was just that type of deal.
Gets paid off every phone posit.
Really?
He has to sign off on every colorway. Yeah.
Nice.
But what I enjoyed the most is that if I didn't have that connection, it was the waiting in line for me, because I know how I operate. Obviously, having to jump up early and go to school in the morning, right? So you set your alarm. I'm like, I can do the same thing on Saturday. I'm gonna take care of my priorities Friday afternoon. Let me go and cut this grass, get this shit out the way. And then Saturday morning, I'm in the mall. 5:30 in the morning. I'm finna get these shoes.
Like that too.
I'm like, that's my only way. That's my only opportunity. And that's the last thing I resulted to. And I'm like, okay, I couldn't pay the extra $50, $75 at a particular store, right, where they were selling them early. So, okay, cool. Bet I'll be at the mall first thing in the morning. And I know I can get my hands on a pair. Can't do that no more. I hate that.
That's why Tradeblock is here, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Because I think there's something to like acquiring a shoe. This sounds counterintuitive, but a little bit of friction makes it like that much more meaningful when you get your hands on it.
You feel like, damn, I did this.
You have a shoe you love, but then it's like, bro, did I really just spend a rent check to get these joints? Like, I still love them, but now I feel conflicted about what I just did to get my hands on these.
Yeah.
Whereas, you go back and forth, like on a negotiation, for example, like, man, I was trying to get those Adapt 11s for a while. And like, one, I just think 11s are the dopest silhouette of all time. And two, like I'm a tech guy, so I'm into technology and innovation and those sorts of things. So I was like, man, like they put this crazy technology in the dopest silhouette for the first time.
Boy is too. Y'all probably got a lot to talk about.
Oh yeah? Okay, perfect.
Don't ever say I ain't do nothing. Don't ever say I ain't do nothing.
I will geek out on that stuff all day. But yeah, it was weeks where I was shooting my shot to different folks, had a couple negotiations where I went back and forth where it's like, didn't work out. I got them. I got them. And I got them for, I had a pair of the Topaze 4s and I added $300 on top. And so basically that's worth $650 and the Adapt 11s were going for $850. So it just gives you another view. Like the dude who had them, I think he actually had 2 pairs in his closet. So he's like, all right, I got a double up on these. I clearly don't like them that much. I'm trying to get some Topazes and this guy's gonna give me an extra $300 cash. Like, run it. Yeah. So, somebody might be like, oh, you're crazy, like you took a big L. In his world, he's like, nah, I got the shoe that I wanted, got rid of something I didn't care about, and I got cash in my pocket. Like, how are you
That's
losing?
what's dope about trading.
Yeah. There's so many options.
It's personalized. It's very subjective, but really just for you.
Absolutely.
Everything runs through you and what you like, what you agree to, and it's between you and that person. All the outside world don't even know.
Obviously, I'm biased, and I'll say great things about Tradeblock all day, but I think the other thing that I didn't even appreciate until I really started using the app, which is crazy because I was helping design it, but is the discovery aspect too. Because like, it's hard for us to articulate everything that we're into, especially since there's been hundreds of shoes that have come out, since we started, like got in the game decades ago or whatever the case may be. So like one of the things that's dopest to me is there'll be shoes that I haven't thought about in years that somebody will offer me, and then I'm like, dang. So like those Blue Moon ones, bro. Like I literally, like I remember when it came out, I was like, man, these are fire. Tried to get us for a little while and gave up, and then one day
you hit a button.
somebody threw them joints to me in a trade offer, and I was like, bro, I haven't even thought about these in 5 years, but absolutely I want those joints.
Yeah.
Listen. My son,
You okay, bro?
Man, listen, my oldest son gets mad at me all the time about this. I bought the Blue Moon ones from a guy on the north side for like $120. Great condition. I kept them for about 4 or 5 months. And then somebody hit me with an offer, and I needed some cash, I ain't gonna lie. And I got rid of them for like $270. And right now I'm like,
Ouch.
why did I do that? You know what I mean? So right now I'm on the hunt for the clay greens. There's a few people I ran across that have them. They've been popping up frequent lately, and I'm kind of scratching my head about that. Like, man, I hope I don't come across a fake pair. Because I mean, at that time, that whole little package, as a matter of fact, the blue moons, the clay greens, I don't know what name they have for the red and the yellow pair. Those two, you don't see them at all. You know what I mean? But
what's the best one in that set?
The clay, the green.
Yeah.
In my personal opinion, and I love blue, but that clay green, I don't know, it's something about it every time I see it. You haven't really seen that color green in another Jordan before. I don't think so. So to me, that's my favorite. But since we're on Jordan 1, I had to bring this up because it's gonna mess up a lot of people money and whatnot. And I think y'all probably know what I'm going with what Jordan just did with the patented Jordan 1. And I don't want to say it's because of this one person in particular, but this guy's doing
we
numbers.
all know it's because of this one person in particular.
He came down here, and I did. I've been following him for a minute. I talked to a few people about sneakers here, and not a lot of people mentioned Kai. You know what I'm saying? So when I found out he was doing a pop-up shop here, I'm like, yeah, I'm coming through. I ain't gotta go through the whole ordering because I don't know how that work anyway. And then if you ever been online and seen how much they resell for, it's outrageous. So I'm like, okay, maybe I got my opportunity. Homeboy sent me a video of the line people that been out there for days,
Oh.
I was like, yeah, I ain't gonna make that. You know what I mean? He's doing a great thing, but Nike is like, nah, or Jordan, whichever one, they like, no more. So I'm gonna ask y'all, what is y'all opinion on that? What is all of y'all opinion on that? Do you think that what they are doing is right, or
So,